The Water Wastewater Commissioners to order for Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 at 9 a.m. at the Harwich Water Department. And we have all 5 commissioners, so we have a quorum. And we'll start with public comment, but we have nobody here for that. So we can move right into the consent agenda.
I move we accept the minutes, approve the minutes for March 14th, April 15th, and April 29th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so 5-0. So next we have an abatement request, and looking at it, it looks like it's for a late fee. I mean, I'm just reading, from the notes in it. And on the customer page, I see that they indicated a problem with a mailing address. But I also noticed that last year, in April of 23 rather, 2 years ago, they did have a late fee allowance granted. So this is for the $25. So commissioners, any thoughts?
Well, my thought is, they know it's due every month. Whether the mail does anything or not, you can do it online. And my feeling is, unless you keep they need to learn, We can't just keep abating it.
Or do they ever give winter addresses for mail?
They do, but you can go online.
Some of our residents don't.
I mean, she's had a late fee before, though, that they processed, no removal.
Well, I mean, if anybody, I'll make a motion to deny a late fee unless anybody else wants to make a motion.
I'd second it.
Oh, she can do it on the phone, that's right. She
Yeah.
can call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. I'm sure
She'll be upset, I'm sure.
no, she'll figure it out and go for it. Okay, so these are our quarterly abatements. The first one is for the water internal adjustments.
These for the water department, yeah. I move that we accept the abatements as written.
Could I have a second?
I'll second.
So that was a motion to approve the $4,988.58. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so 5-0. Next, we have the third quarter water department usage. And,
I move we accept this.
okay, second?
Second.
John. So that was a motion to approve the $2,321.79 to be abated for the third quarter. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. 0. Last, we have the wastewater internal adjustments, and I won't ask this time, Jason, but I'm wondering if these are our first wastewater ones. We wouldn't have too many, we only have 350 accounts, and I don't remember seeing wastewater adjustments before. Hey, okay.
Hey, good morning.
Here we go.
I can answer that.
Excellent.
Timing is everything. Hello.
Appreciate that.
Nice you could make it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. The past sewer adjustments I included with water.
Oh,
Okay, so it had been included with the
Yeah.
water adjustments,
Yeah.
not many of them.
Right.
They were still adjustments on 2 separate funds,
Mhm.
but for the sake of approval, I had included them all in one.
Yeah.
but I decided now we're,
Yep.
you know, more separate and just listing them separately moving forward.
Right. And it actually winds up being a minus that
Okay,
we're
yeah.
approving, but that's fine, those things can happen. So, I'm glad
I'll move
to-
we approve.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, next we have, under old business, this is the Apex hydraulic model contract that we had a presentation of, I think, 2 meetings ago. They just have the contractors ready. So, you know, I don't know if we actually already moved to approve the proposal. So I really think the only action we have to take is to sign the contract at the end of the meeting when we sign everything else.
Good.
Unless anybody has any other input. Jason? No? All right.
Yeah, this was put through council, that's why it was,
Yeah.
took a little time, but council looked through this and it's all ready to go.
All right.
Good.
It'll be in our package, and that will be an interesting thing to have.
So we need a motion to approve the signatures?
I mean, we can do that. We, at our last meeting, we made a motion to approve the proposal,
Yeah.
and so if you'd like to make a motion to approve signing, that's fine.
Well, we
I'll
approve-
second.
Huh?
I'll second it.
Oh, okay. Move the second.
All right. That will be to sign. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So 5-0. Okay, so the next, and I think what we'll do is, let's keep the topic of Route 28 East Water Main on every agenda
Yeah.
going forward. So that'll be like the beginning of our old business section every time. And we did have, I'll let the board know that we had the meeting for businesses that we planned on May 14th. John and Alan were in attendance along with me. It was not very well attended by the public, but the meeting went very well. Bob Drake had a, slideshow, and, of different timelines and things like that. Unfortunately, we're still waiting for okays so we can go out to bid and get the information that's needed. But it was a brief meeting because there weren't too many people there, but everybody spoke well, the input was good. And I did notice that Bill Galvin put a nice article in the newspaper as a result of that meeting. So we accomplished something, we have it on tape. We have the slide deck done for the future. So right now, all we're waiting on is the Department of Transportation to okay a few more things so we can plan a bid date, so we can get this baby out to bid. Until then, there's not a heck of a lot we can do. One thing I did want to mention, although it might be a little early, and it's never too early, is when we get, let's say it goes out for bid, I'll be a dreamer, the middle of July. Let's say it's out for a few weeks. That we have what we need by the middle or end of August. That would be when we would want to start actually writing to the individuals, all of the residents and businesses, once we have some specific dates. It's probably a little premature, but not terribly premature to start composing that letter. We can also enlist our undervalued worker, ChatGPT, she's very helpful. But, something to think about, that we definitely want to be ready to get something right in the mail once we know the exact start date, and things like that, so. And of course, at the same time, we'll be preparing a town-wide info session and things like that, but the only other thing I can think of in advance would be to start to compose a letter. So, and we can just, maybe I'll start to play with drafts too. Okay, any other questions on Route 28?
No.
No, all right.
Wait till we have a reason.
Yeah,
I said, wait till we have a reason.
for a question, I know, yeah, you're right, and there'll be probably plenty of them, yeah.
It'll be fine, though.
Huh?
It'll be fine.
I hope so. We'll see.
Depends on when we start digging.
So what is the holdup on getting the
I'll
RFP?
let him,
Oh, sorry, maybe that's later, sorry.
no,
Yeah,
Not like
we're
that.
waiting for Mass DOT to, with all of their discussions on how they want the road put back together. And yeah, their blessing, basically, yeah, their blessing on how they want work conditions, how they want the, just
They don't have that
signage,
standardized?
everything, what's that?
They don't have, I mean, isn't
It
that
should be
standard?
pretty simple, it's very
mean, like-
standard, yeah.
Don't they have to send the same info out? It doesn't change anywhere in the state, does it?
there she goes trying to be logical again, you're absolutely
Yeah,
right, you know.
Yes, when you're going down the road, they want so many inches of asphalt, they want
Yeah.
Right?
how they want everything backfilled, how they want the signage for roads, working hours, the dates that you can work, different things like that.
Police officers and,
Police, yeah, details, everything.
yeah.
I wonder if you were to ask them for a copy of their, not flyer, but their informational brochure that they send to municipalities on this.
I could,
Do you know what I
probably
mean?
get that next year sometime.
That's great.
Let's
Yeah.
ask anyway, let's ask anyway, see what happens.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I'm gonna, I know some people in DOT, I'm gonna make some calls and see if I can see where the project is in the stack of plans that they have, to see when they can get it
Telephone.
to us. But yeah, I even went to the engineering firm that's doing their other portion of the phase one. And they don't even know when that's gonna be bid.
Who's the engineers on this
I
one?
do believe,
Huh?
GHD is ours, I do believe it's, I wanna say, it's not Tater and Howard, it's, is it Ty
Oh,
Bond,
tie bond, maybe?
I think?
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, they don't even know when they're gonna have that out.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I thought it was GHD, oh, GHD
GHD is
the
doing
for us, for the
us,
water,
yeah.
but not for the sewer, okay.
Yeah, but Mass DOT has their own set of engineers that are
Right.
putting together that other piece, so it's,
I
there's a
can
lot of
only
hands in
just
the
get
cookie
the
jar.
east portion, so.
Well, I have met a lot of them in the last few months, because I was trying to find out whether or not they were gonna put the bike path in front of my house on Sisson, because they did the, the measuring like a year ago, and it was supposed to start now. And nobody at town hall knew. Shocking. And, yeah, after calling around for 2 or 3 weeks, and being really, really, like, very nice, finally, I found the right engineer. But I felt like this poor guy was like off in the basement, you know? I mean, yeah. And now all of a sudden the town is doing what it needs to do. So there's no bike path, but it's gonna be a 5-foot sidewalk
Yeah.
on Sisson.
That's
Which will be nice.
improvement.
Yeah, it'll be much safer for kids.
All right, we'll wait patiently and hope that DOT will, are we completely done with the conservation issues?
Conservation is all done.
Completely, and that's, all right, so it's just DOT.
Can I ask one quick question? Is the asphalt any different, like, in a coastal community because of the salt water? It's,
No, it just goes by thickness, how much they want restoration put back in to make it through the winter things like that. And if you have to actually grind a foot on each side
Not my
of
field.
it, and, yeah. So the trench that you trench through, they want you to go back and they want you to mill 12
Yeah.
inches on each side.
Oh, there's a
that.
standard.
Yeah, there is a standard, yeah. So, and it should be a cut and paste, but they must be swamped with a lot of things and not enough engineers to review. That's what I'm thinking.
We can all remember the old days when you just filled in the trench.
Do we need a motion to approve the statistical report?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's already submitted.
Yeah.
So is it-
Yeah, that's already
Fix that,
submitted
right?
It's an annual.
to the
to
state.
live with the French for the rest of your life. And hopefully they'll repave the road.
Okay, so, keeping a nice record for speedy meetings.
Yeah.
Just a
Oh,
new-
sorry.
A new trend. So they've included for us the annual statistical report. I don't know if anybody has any questions on it. An awful lot of information on just about everything in the system, looks like, so.
What, are we on this Apex?
We're
No,
past that.
No.
Not yet.
no, Apex
That
went
one
beyond.
We did.
That was the hydraulic
Yeah.
thing that
Yeah, we
you
just
suggested we,
approved, so.
we had a motion to sign, so we're done with that, Alan.
Yeah.
And then if you go to, the next big thick pile should be the annual statistical report.
And that's been submitted.
Yeah,
This one here.
Must be going slow.
you are, Alan. I saw you taking extra notes there.
Time to retire.
I know, I know you sometimes get into some of these reports. You notice stuff that a lot of us don't on these, so. It's more your thing than ours, Alan. So that's just there for your information. And I'm sure it's on our website as well.
Is this one?
No, it's like an inch.
Yeah,
all
it's
this-
it's about a 50-page report.
Yeah, it's all the way to the yellow
Oh,
page.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did this update?
I can't see that far. Can you see, Jason?
327.
Excuse me?
Is this updated?
Yeah, so every year we have to put we have to submit that to Mass
Yeah.
DEP, and that gives them a brief overview of everything in the system that transpired, how much water we pumped,
Yeah,
cross connection, yeah, that's the newest one for the year.
okay. But Craig's still on it.
Yeah, that's his password, it's a act of God trying to get that off of there.
Oh, I was wondering about that.
Ah.
Okay.
It's been on there since Stan's done it, it's been on there since I was talking to him, it's like,
I understand.
I went in there and
because
put my
it's-
new credentials in and,
Yeah.
The mass system,
yeah,
yeah,
the
it'll
mass
never get
system.
changed.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wow.
it's, Dan put his credentials in there.
Yeah.
I put my credentials in there. It's, the report was sent to Dan and not me.
Right.
And it was probably sent to Craig
Amazing,
too.
anything gets done right in this country.
So, yeah.
Well, it's good to know the state's right up to date.
Oh, don't get me started on the state.
Ah,
It's gonna turn me into a Republican.
right. Moving right along.
Okay, so if nobody has any further questions on the statistical report, then it will be time for, now that election is over, we're happy to say, time for board reorganization. So per the method we used last year, people suggested names for different positions, and then we voted on the names. So if anybody has any names to suggest for chair, they should do it.
Well, I would not like to be suggested for chair. I will put that out there. I have too many
Me
other
either.
obligations.
Me either.
I'm going to share with you all that My term is up next spring, and I'm all done.
I know you
That's 50 years, that's enough. Yep. So whatever you're doing, it's all right with me.
Well, then I would like to nominate Noreen as chair and Alan as vice chair, so that
Okay.
Alan's last year is a little
are. All right, I was
less.
just gonna ask if we could take them one at a time,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
sorry.
I'll second that.
Otherwise, it's like people are voting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I wanted to say why
yeah.
I didn't put you in as chair. I don't want you to go out with a headache.
It's easy running for me.
Unless you want to.
Huh?
You want to?
I don't care, whatever you guys want. You know, like I said,
I'm waiting for your pleasure.
yeah,
Okay, I seconded that motion. for
Okay, it's
chair.
not a motion, it's a, and you're not a second, you throw out names and then we'll vote.
She threw a name out.
All right.
I caught it.
All
I'm throwing it back at you.
Well, let me say this. The four of you, stated, well, Alan's a little different case, how you didn't want to run.
I'm not running either.
I know.
Yeah, I can't.
Just let me say my piece. I don't want it either. I just
No.
just want people to understand that I'm not on any power trip, I much prefer, as people saw me for years, being the research person, the people off to the side, the one who comes in with a lot of questions and a lot of homework done, rather than try to run it. And we all know last year was a little bit hard, so given the time constraints, and I understand, I did it, working for years, I would consider doing it again. But I did feel that I got a lot of criticism last year, and it was painful to me. And if I have the support of the board, rather than being directed against me, then I will again give another year. But if it becomes too much, then, because remember, I don't want to do this either. I will do it, I'll take one for the Gipper, because I have the knowledge and the time. But I don't want people to think this is something that I'm aspiring to. This is something I will give up of myself and sacrifice and do. So,
I don't think we could do it without you.
well,
I'd just like to say, that I think you've done a really good job.
oh, thank you.
Criticism is part of the position.
I
It will
know.
always be part of the position, from either the public or the board if we disagree. So having said that, I still think you're the most qualified person for this.
I appreciate that, Bob. I think the distinction was that, and I guess I'll blame myself for it, I don't think anybody realized that last year I continued to operate a little bit in the superintendent's role because I didn't want to dump it on Jason. Jason came in September and I continued all the organizing. Tracy knows we talked daily, for a year. And it was a tremendous amount of work, because you're either running a meeting, preparing for a meeting, organizing something or anything else. The staff has now, as of last April, taken over all of that. So as far as the criticism goes, and remember, this isn't something I want, I took it personally, you know what I mean?
I
Because
think you should.
well, I know, but it's not like, for instance, Judith just had a question about something, and I now get to turn to Jason and other people and say, why did you do that? Whereas for a year, I was doing, so that's why it was hard for me,
I
so,
understand.
Yeah,
I also think, we had to deal with the select board,
right,
which was strange,
yeah.
and it's gonna probably get stranger. So, get ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
But I'd say let's vote real quick and get her in and move
all
on.
right. Yeah. But, I think I know everybody on this board has the best interests of this department at heart.
Absolutely, and you know what, I don't think any of us, I know, I did not understand that you were doing all,
Right.
I
It's
thought
my
you
own
had
fault.
stopped doing that, a month after Jason had taken, so don't
Yeah.
take on too, use us, we're here to
Yeah.
help you.
Okay, all right.
You were not, seriously, I'd never seen this board as the chair and the other commissioners, I think, there's an opportunity for all of us to help.
But you never had the board before with the chair and no superintendent. That was the difference.
But we didn't
But
know
we
that
did
our
now.
chair
I know.
was doing
No,
all
I know
that
that.
work.
I know.
Had I known
They
that,
have,
yes, actually,
Yes,
probably
yes,
in
that's
Alan's
right,
time.
that's right,
Wait a minute.
yes.
For-
That's
Yeah, for
right.
a 2
I got the history.
That's right, you
Yeah.
do, Alan, yeah.
Yeah, and we would have done more work as a group if we had known.
No,
Well,
that's
we-
fine.
We
Yeah.
did do a lot.
We did do a lot.
Did do a lot of
We had to go
There
through
was a lot of
interviews.
work.
I
Had to go through
think
It
interviews
was long.
and put it out there.
don't put yourself
Yeah,
down. You did a
don't. You
fine
did a
job.
great
You did a
job.
good job.
Hell of a job. And I support you for chair again.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving
Let's
right
vote.
along.
Thank you, all right. Oh, my goodness, that's why I put this at the end of the meeting. All right, so everybody who
I mean,
wants to
we're all
know.
here.
Noreen
And
is,
you do just like you're doing now.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Pull the board.
Yeah.
Come on,
All
get
right.
this stuff out
That's-
here.
that's
So
good.
who
I
wants
wanna hear.
Noreen as chair?
I do.
Okay,
I know Joe
good.
does, so, and I'll say me too, so that will
Okay.
be 5-0.
So I mean, I can say anything I want now for the next
I
8 months.
I had an aunt.
You can say what we want, Alan, name us.
I had an aunt who was not a nice person, right? And she was never a nice person her whole life. It wasn't like she got, and when she turned 80, my brother-in-law made the mistake of saying at a big party we had, "Oh, now you're 80, you can say whatever you want." She lived to be 95, and she tortured us for 15 years. She kept repeating that, "I can say whatever," so I don't know.
I'm quite content doing just what I'm doing
Okay,
and not taking on
Thank you,
any
folks.
chairs anymore.
I appreciate it, and I'm proud of the job we all did last year.
I pretty much resigned from anything else,
Yep,
and when my term is up, I'm up.
okay.
Well, on that note, I'd
I'm
like
gonna
to.
nominate Judith for vice chair.
Oh, I was gonna nominate Alan.
And I'm
I
gonna
know.
make a nomination also, that's why I wanted them separate. So
Okay.
you're nominating Julie?
Judith, because she just got reelected, you ask really good questions, you question the reports. I don't think you have to do the work that Noreen does, but your input is pretty incisive.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I second.
you're nominating, I'm nominating and somebody else too. You're nominating Alan.
I'm nominating Alan, and I just, my work stuff the next 3 months is gonna be very heavy, so
Give me my chance to.
Okay. I was just gonna say, if I
Oh.
had to step in as chair, do you know, if Noreen won a lottery ticket and decided to take
Yeah.
off, I don't think I could fulfill that.
No. All right,
That's my challenge.
okay, so my turn, my turn. All right, so I'm nominating Bob. And the reason I'm doing that is that a year from now, these two gentlemen will not be running again.
Oh, you're not running it?
No. This,
Can I be all right?
no,
I got
He's
too
done.
much on my plate.
yeah.
With,
So this board will have 2 vacancies and no incumbents. So I think during this year, we have to start
Oh,
looking
running.
around.
When am I up?
With me, 2 years from now.
No.
Okay, so at any rate, so one thing is,
Settle in.
we've got to start, it'd be nice to get some younger people in,
She's got longer term.
you know?
Well,
Okay, but Judith has made it clear for many years that because of work constraints, she does not have the time to do this.
Well, yeah, and it's also because I'm physically not in Harwich
Fine,
as much
Yeah.
as needed
okay.
for,
But we need to groom the next year, whether it happens next May, and I might want a year to coast out with, because I'm not running the year after that. I'm
You're not
all-
running either?
No. Well, no, next
So
year,
you and I would be alone?
right, the year after
seriously,
that.
you're not running either?
Well,
Do
in
some 2 years.
no, Jason.
Wait a minute, you pushed me to run
One
for
guarantee.
4 years.
one thing guaranteed, you never
27, I'm not
Oh, my
running.
God.
When you run, I'm not running. Okay, 26, these two aren't running. 27, you and I run, I'm not running. I'd be 82.
No way.
You know, yeah, well, by the time my term was done, so I'll just do what you get. At any rate,
Let's take it
that's-
one day at a
Yeah, that's
time
true.
here.
So can I
So
ask a
at any rate,
question?
so my reason for nominating Bob is that I feel we need to start grooming out of the two of you. There are no other choices, so we gotta pick the two of you to start grooming.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do we, and so we do have 3, so then we have a clerk?
We'll get there in a minute, yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't think in all my years I've ever heard of such a situation where, you know, you have this board, and then, I mean, any board I've ever served on, there's always been somebody ready to step in
I
as
know.
the chair. See, there's no climbers here.
I know,
Wow.
and that's why I'm gonna, this guy looks like a climber to me.
I hope in 4 months that all my work stuff is
agree.
settled, and I hope I don't need to go over that bridge
Yeah.
continually.
Oh, I see.
So that's my
So,
goal.
I
So-
got you.
Yeah.
All right, so, you know, we got, you're getting out, so you look like good meat.
Then
Yeah, okay, I will withdraw,
So that's
and I will
right.
save
You
my
don't have to
things.
withdraw, because now we're gonna
For
vote,
the
pick your
clerk.
name, so,
Okay.
everybody for Judith? No. You're for
Aye.
Judith?
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Everybody for Alan? We'll let Alan go out quietly. Everybody for Bob?
Okay.
4, all right. That's it, Bob, we got you. So we'll see what happens next May. But,
Yeah.
Well, we said we'd work together, and, you
Yeah.
know, you hear some good ideas from a different direction than me, so we'll see what happens. So now we have clerk, which in this particular board really doesn't have a big role because we have Tracy. Normally, the clerk would be taking all the minutes.
But it's a title, and I would love to.
Alan's going out as our clerk, sure.
Yeah, all I have to do is sign papers.
That's
There you
right.
go.
You do that very well, so there you go.
Everybody in favor for Alan?
I,
And I'm an aye. All right. Well, thank you for everybody's kind words. I do appreciate it.
It
And,
was great to do that.
yeah, yeah.
Good.
I'm
thank you
ready-
for what you do.
Ready for a new year, and,
Yeah,
and maybe this time next year, I'll run as vice chair.
yeah, we'll see. The 3 of us will talk,
Yeah.
because we're gonna be the only 3
I can't
left.
believe
so.
this. The whole
We've got to look around in the town for some people who are 50-ish and interested. All my friends
How
are
about
aging out.
40s and
40s, 30s,
30s,
20s, 10s,
20s?
I don't care. I'm just saying, my friends are all in their 80s now, so, you know, it's, you know, not gonna happen.
yeah,
anymore.
they are, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
So,
got a hard look on 85.
okay, so, thank you, folks. Next,
No, I'm all right.
we have
I just,
um,
I didn't
tall
know.
chair.
superintendent's report.
Okay, we went through Route 28. I think we talked about that earlier. The Route 28 Mass DOT, there's no news on the Phase 1. I get mixed up on east and west, and so.
Yeah.
but it's just in Mass DOT's hands. Station 10, the new well, they're working on pump data from the Monomoy lens, and they're putting all that together, a model of it, and we should have an update shortly from them. The vernal pool, we have all of the, we're monitoring that through the SCADA system, so nobody's walking out in the high grass getting ticks all over them and everything.
Good.
So it's really, the guys did a great job. They ran everything, all the wires, put all of the devices out there on all the wells. It all comes back into the station. All that data gets put into a report, and we're gonna be having a hydrologist come out, and they gotta write a report up in September, and we have to submit that to Mass DOT, talking about that, to Mass DEP. So that's what's going on there. Hydraulic model, we just signed it. They're already asking for information.
Great.
They're getting on that, and so that'll be a really good tool that we'll have of knowing the system. It's been a long time. We have 2 new vehicles in. Steve just got his vehicle, and we're waiting on 1 more. That'll be the vehicle number 1. It's one of our large construction ones, so that'll be good when we get that in. Working on the GIS for a grant through the state for asset management for water and wastewater. So that'll be another, just be working on a grant, trying to get that grant from the state. So they're gonna match up to 50%. But that other 50% that will come from us, we can have a person work from the department on that with them, and that money, whatever their salary is, goes towards that grant, so it won't be out-of-pocket money. So that's another good thing about that there. So that is 2026, so that'll be sometime next year. So trying to get that moving.
Jason,
Yep.
question on that one? You know, for years, I've been hearing in terms of water and wastewater, the terms asset management. And, you know, in finance, asset management is a certain thing. But I think it's one of those government words that we hear all the time, but maybe a lot of us don't really know what it's about. And I notice all the tons of grants the state's given. So what's really going on with asset management?
With asset management, they want you to be prepared. They want to know all your assets you have. They want to know what you have in the ground. They want to know what you have for things to make a repair. They want to know basically everything that you have, all of your assets. They want to know exactly what you have. And if something were to come about, how are you going to repair? How are you going to?
And this is the state that wants to know this?
Yes.
Does this
They
include
want.
land that we own?
That could be part of it, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Not 100% sure, because
Wait a minute, what did you just ask?
Did our assets include land that the water department owns?
Probably, because they're well fields.
Well, like this parcel, for example, is huge.
It could be, I'm not 100% sure on that, I can find that out.
I'd be curious of our land holdings.
Yeah, other things would be, you know, everything that we have in the water treatment facility, or the pumping stations, all the pumps. What do we have for pumps? What do we have for generators here? What do we have for,
Communication
emergency
system.
management here? What do we have for, and those are all the assets that we have, and that goes into a plan.
Or the well fields?
Yeah, the well fields would be one, because we have the buildings there, we have the generators there.
Got it.
What kind of pumps do we have there? It's a great deal of information.
It
It's
is.
a lot of work.
I'd like to see that, and
Yeah.
I'd help,
It's-
ask questions on it.
Yeah, and GISing everything out in the field, all of our hydrants, all of our valves, all of our, that's all of our, part of our assets.
So, you know, I'm old-fashioned and believe in small government. And, you know, I honestly can't imagine why a state would want this level of minutia and data on every water system in the state. You know, it blows my mind, to tell you the truth, you know.
So they don't necessarily want that for themselves. They want the departments to do it for the department.
Okay.
And that's why they're giving these grants out. And
All right, that makes more
it's a
sense.
great deal of information for you to know, and you'll have there are some tags you can go in there with your phone, and you can scan them with your phone or a tablet, and all the information comes up on there. When's the last time you did any maintenance on that? What last time it broke down? And you have all of that in front of you. They want you to create a history of your department. So
It's,
They
I can say
don't have
same
Alan.
thing. It's really, yeah, but it's
We're putting you
really,
right in the book.
when, in my previous commissioner life, we bought a private water system that had been patched together. And we ended up owning 160 acres
Wow.
of land with with springs on the top. And there became this debate, are you gonna take the water out of the river, or are you gonna take it out of the springs? And to get the grants, we had to, document every parcel, where the wells were, where the springs were,
Yeah.
and they valued it.
Mhm.
So, it's fascinating to me to go through every little thing that this department has.
But then
You
the
know.
state uses all this information statewide to do resiliency plans for the state. The state is also, all the utilities, electric and gas, et cetera, are public utilities, meaning that they're partially owned and controlled by the state. And a lot of the decisions the state makes about, for example, in the last 5 years about offshore wind investment by the state has to do with how resilient each of these different towns and municipalities are and how much electricity they're gonna need. And part of that is kind of clear by, quite literally, the water usage actually tells a lot of the
It's very
story
important.
of the state, yeah.
It is, it's very important. When I used to work, when I was younger, I used to work and I'd be like, okay, we need to shut this end of, the street off here, but I don't know how to shut it off. And there's no documents anywhere that tells you how to shut it off. And then I would go talk to, one of the old timers, and he would go, down there by the oak tree, right near the oak tree, right near the
That
fence,
big
you'll see a
rock.
gate valve there, and that is the one you need to shut it off, and you'd go, I don't know where that is, and he'd, come on, I'll show you.
Wow.
And all of that gets put into a asset management plan and every valve is labeled on what shuts what off, and, because what's happening is you're creating a history now, instead of one person knowing everything, it's.
Well, we
it's
got
like
a year,
It's like an SOP.
or 8, whatever,
Yeah.
until Alan leaves.
So.
Yeah, and you know what
Yeah, we got.
No, believe me, there's a fact right
Yeah.
there.
It is, I know.
Right here, this department, Bruce Carew came to work here as a graduate out of high school, and he stayed here till he retired. They talk about, there was no book or page,
Yeah,
Bruce's head, when Bruce had a
Yeah.
heart attack. I mean, he finally woke people up, we need to bleed him.
and it's
Oh,
not just
I
small
can appreciate
towns.
that.
Yeah,
It's
a
important.
colleague of mine was the superintendent for Washington DC, and there was no history there either. It was the same thing. A water main would go, and
Wow.
he'd be,
Trial and error.
yes, yeah, and the guys were like, well, we can go down that street, we can go down that street, and we can walk underneath and see. And he's like, you guys don't know?
So to give you an idea, Bruce graduated from high school in 1956.
Mm,
He came to work here
that summer?
that summer and was here until he retired, passed away. But most of the expansion of this department took place between like 1958 forward. So he knew where every main was in the ground, and every valve, and the whole works. So, I mean, I can appreciate where that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the day and age of one person knowing, over.
I just wanted to say that our crisis that we had when I was on that other board was, the county forced us to stay in the river. Well, it would flood, and that shut down everything, all the wells and contaminations, and they tried to seal them, but for 5 days or something, we were boil water,
Yeah.
it was really scrambling, and we had to learn where everything was, and we were just forced, it was really something. So I think if we can get all that together, we'll look very professional to
Yeah.
the state.
Well,
Yeah.
We really will.
You're not in bad shape.
No,
No,
Yeah.
no,
I,
this is just
a lot
putting a
of
little
change.
icing on the cake, I guess you could
Yeah.
say.
yeah, I think so.
A lot of changes over the years. I remember Bruce would have arguments with the superintendent. I mean, it'd be terrible. And, you know, Bruce to do his own thing.
I worked with Bruce, he was a wealth of knowledge, yes, I did, yes. He was
He
great.
had it.
He was great.
Yeah,
He
oh,
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a couple of years ahead of me in high school.
Yeah,
That was it, graduated from high school, came here,
yeah.
yeah.
Glad he
Very,
did.
yeah.
So that's the,
Well, that was a good question.
right, right, well, it gives everybody a good
Yeah.
definition of what that, what
Yes.
transpired, what we're trying to do. The water restrictions, the Brewster well, I put that in here just so everybody would be aware of, you know, some good information if you're ever asked about that. As of today, the observation, the feet down is at 31.62. I'm keeping track of that every
Yeah.
day that I come in. Every day I look at it and I write it on my calendar.
Me too.
For the month of June, in order to have a restriction implemented, let's say we didn't have one and we have to implement a restriction, it has to be, I guess, below 31.06 for June. So we would have to, right now, we're at 31.62.
Jason,
So we're
Yeah.
just above it.
aren't you going backwards? Because we're at 31.62, so we're worse off than the trigger, which is 31.06.
Yes. So, and it's one of those things that's hard to,
Right,
like,
I know, lower is better.
lower is better. So 31.06, if we were at 31, we wouldn't be in a
But
drought.
we are.
Okay,
But because we're at 31.62, we are.
okay.
Now, in order for us to get out of the water restrictions, we have to be lower than 31.06, yes. So we have to be lower, and we have to stay lower for 30 days
And
to lift those. I don't think that will happen, but it could.
even if that happened, we'd also have to be at least in the mild category of the state drought chart. And I think we're still insignificant. Or if we've moved to mild, it certainly hasn't been 30 days.
Yes.
It's only been a couple of days. So
Yes.
it's very unlikely we'll come out of them this summer.
Right, yeah, it
You know.
is. So if, even if it was from today,
Yeah,
30 days would be, you know, July, then we could lift them, but I don't see us
no.
coming out of it.
So have you gotten any, to tell you the truth, I think a lot of people are just conserving because they're getting more educated. Also, we've had so much rain. I
Right.
mean, I can't imagine anybody needed irrigation this month,
Right.
That would be they'd have to be pretty nutty if they did. But I don't really see people in my little riding around responding to the assigned days. I just see them not using it because there's plenty of rain, so I don't know what will happen come, let's say the middle of July when it gets hotter for a while.
Right.
But to tell you the truth, I see people with it on and off all over the place, I mean, not abusively because there's been so much rain, but I,
At our restaurant, we stopped serving water unless it's requested.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Because, that's,
Yeah, hey, it's
just,
one
a
thing.
lot of times they automatically think it's water, so we tell them
Right.
that there's a water restriction. And
Well, that's wonderful.
Well, if you notify the businesses, it gets down into the customers.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to
Right.
save.
I never thought about that. Yeah, that is really a good way to
Yeah,
save.
and so I would suggest we notify the businesses and say, please do water on request, not just automatically put them on the table.
Mm,
Yeah, we
good,
can,
yeah,
we could-
fine.
And I notice, I'm gonna skip over here, that our next bills will go out the very beginning of July, the end of June, and the staff is gonna put this notice in as a reminder of the restrictions that we voted last meeting. to businesses. That's a good idea.
Now, on to sewer, the phase 3. Again, the 2 new generators were delivered. They're great. We're looking for a spot to contain them. I've talked with the fire department. They're looking at a structure, mobile structure that they can put in there through the state. And we could store those down there and have those undercover, because they're really nice. And we want to get a nice.
Where did you say? I blanked for a second.
It would most likely be, I was talking to the chief, and he has a spot down by in back of the fire department that they could put that structure up, and we would have access to that in the town, and that's a really good
Yep.
piece to have.
So those 2 generators are shared with the whole town, right?
They're for phase 3, but yes,
Right.
if for some reason the town's in emergency, absolutely.
When you say they're for phase 3, what do you mean?
So phase 3, they were put in the contract for the pumping stations. If
Oh,
if
okay.
it's a safety to a safety.
Yeah.
For some reason, if one of our generators at maybe one of our pumping stations isn't running, isn't
Yeah.
working,
Okay.
we can go and plug this and make sure that we are pumping the channel.
And is it also a second fuel system?
They run on a separate fuel system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you installing all the plugs in?
Yeah, we'll be
Everywhere?
We'll be looking at all. If they don't have them, we'll install them so they're ready to go. So they'll have all the pigtails and whatever.
That's what Dan wanted for years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really good. I didn't know about them, and they said, oh, by the way, you have 2 generators that are showing up. I said, okay, I'm not gonna say no.
Oh.
Bring them in. So that was good. Another phase 3 update, construction will start in the middle of June for construction on the sewer main on Bay Road. So
Are they gonna do construction through the summer?
they are going to do construction on Bay Road. They have approval from the town. I wanna say on June 16th, they will be starting going, what is that, 39? Down Bay Road. And they're gonna incorporate the Casey's that had that.
Oh, yeah.
That had that backup. So we did find a solution to their problem. I can't say their problem, to
To the
The
problem.
the,
Problem.
and we're hoping that is all done by August, by the end, sometime in August. So we're looking at that. So that's something that they put together with the engineers. We've been talking back and forth on how we're gonna do this and how we're gonna solve it. And, yeah, so that'll be great when that transpires, so. And the last one I have is the grinder pump update to our regulations. I've been working with GHD on a grinder pump regulation, on usage, installation. So that went out to KP Law. When I get that back, I will submit a draft to everybody to look it over. We can put our comments in there, and then,
So, last fall,
Mhm.
we spent months and we approved, everybody in town approved the grinder pump policy. Well, we didn't approve it, it was a select board policy, we blessed
it
it.
helped.
So what's this one now?
So this is your grinder pump regulation. How it's installed, where it's installed, what
Okay.
pumps you are to put in. If you
Okay.
install your own pump, we're not responsible for that. Who's responsible for what? Is the homeowner responsible for this and
Okay.
the department responsible? So that would be it, and
And I'm hoping that as we read this, we see very little involvement by this department. I mean, that was the whole goal, was to have it so that like, all right, so let's say I'm in phase 3 right now, and I want a grinder pump. I wouldn't go to you, who would I go to?
So if you're in phase 3 and you are on the list to have a grinder pump,
Right.
let's take phase 2, okay? Because that's where everybody's coming in now for grinder pumps. So you're on the list, you need a grinder pump, you're gonna go to the Board of Health, you're gonna
Okay.
fill out your application and say, I need a grinder pump.
Okay,
From there, that grinder pump, they'll approve it, you'll submit your plans, they'll approve it, whatever that may be.
Okay.
And then John will be out there inspecting it when it goes in. But before that, in order for them to get the grinder pump, they will have a ticket. They'll have to come down and they'll
all right.
have to,
Yeah, go way ahead of me. So is that form to the Board of Health online somewhere? Can we see it?
it's going to be.
Okay.
It's going to be part of the permit process. I've been talking with them.
And the permit, you mean the grinder pump permit?
Permit process is,
The permitting process to get onto sewer, so when they get away from their septic and they start to go to sewer, they have to submit plans.
Right.
And they have to get a permit so that they can connect to
And
the
so for
sewer.
some people, the permit involves the grinder pump process, but for other people, it doesn't.
Correct, they might have gravity.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
is there a warranty on those?
There is a warranty on those, and they're saying it's 5 years
From installation.
from
Okay.
Or
installation.
from delivery here.
No, from installation,
Okay.
so that's really good.
Okay,
And then after 5 years, you're on your own?
yeah.
Yes.
So, but, all right, so I'm in phase 2 and I want to connect, and that's done by communication with the Board of Health.
Mhm.
And so the only role we have is delivering them. Is that correct?
Not even that.
Not even that, good.
So, yeah, we don't
Right.
want to get into delivery.
No,
We'll accept delivery from the manufacturer or the distributor.
yeah.
So we'll get that, we'll get those here.
So how's it getting there? Yeah, I'm sorry.
So what we'll do is we're gonna have up at the tank, what is that,
Pleasant Lake.
Pleasant Lake
yeah.
tank, we have some room up there that we
Right.
can put some down there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna Connex box here. So we're gonna be able to take some of those and maybe bring a dozen pumps down here.
Yeah,
When the resident fills out their application, they say, okay, we just approved it, here, go get your pump. They bring that, they call the department up, schedule a pickup from the department here.
you said we, you mean the Board of Health?
No, usually the contractor.
So we will have the pumps up at
Right,
the tank. We will be bringing them down here.
right,
And
Just
then we'll have a dozen down here.
right,
When the contractor wants to come and pick a pump up,
yeah,
we will meet him here.
Okay.
Sign that ticket
Yeah.
to say, you received this, you are now owner of it. We don't have anything to do with it.
yeah, okay.
We will load it on their truck and they take it
Okay,
away.
and that ticket they got through that Board of Health
Right.
application?
Correct.
And the reason that I'm being so finicky is in Great Sand Lakes, there's already close to 100 coming for their 80 or 90. In phase 3, all of a sudden, we're gonna be surrounded by grinder pumps, you know? So it started off as being only 12, you know, in the first phase, and now it just seems like it's everybody's solution to everything. So that may change, but it's gonna be a lot of
You know,
work.
it's not a bad thing to do.
And it's-
I mean, when you talk about sewer lines, you know, the town all of a sudden
Yeah.
becomes deeply involved in shit,
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
especially when things
Yeah.
plug up.
Yes.
It's great for us. It's yeah, an
My-
inconvenience for the customer.
I was just gonna ask two things. Number one, does the warranty on the equipment follow to the new owner? And then second, Do all towns do it this way? Instead of doing a general abatement for every homeowner? Like,
Every town's different.
every
Yeah,
town is different, okay.
And every project's different.
A lot of the towns include installation of the grinder pump.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, that, everybody in town pays, not just when it's their turn, but everybody pays a little something every year over the, how many decades it takes to sewer a town.
My only question is, after 5 years, are we gonna get, if they fail, are we gonna get abatement questions? Can you, the water district or water board commission, replace my grinder pump because it failed?
No, so that's also in the, that will also be in the new regulations, that the homeowner is responsible. From when they pick it up, the homeowner is responsible.
And also, we, this board and this department, have no ownership thing in this, so we wouldn't get an if they had any argument, they would have it with the Board of Health, I think, is that correct? Say it's 3 years
Talking about
in.
the cost of replacing.
Well, I'm just saying, as we
Yeah.
take over the sewer operations, in
And-
5 years, are we gonna be in a different position than we are now?
Well, right now, we don't have any budget for that, we
Right.
didn't,
Right.
the budget for the grinder pumps themselves comes through the town money, the big money. So we can give any abatements, because it's their money, so we can't say, okay, we're gonna, it's the town's business, is bottom line what I'm saying. Unless they involved us, which we wouldn't want, to be part of the buying and the distribution and everything, which we wouldn't want.
When-
We'll stay out of it.
Yeah, when you see the updates on the regulation, on hours, it will bring a lot of clarity to a lot that we're talking about right now. On who's responsible for what. They're gonna give numbers to call to a person, to a company, if they do have any warranty work or it's not working, what's going on with it and things like that. But it spells it all out on, it even goes as far as what you should put down your sewer line, what you should be flushing down the toilet, what should be, everything to that sort. And it's
And then
and then you can put your
we-
comments in, if we want to add anything, we can add some things, and so that will be, it's a long time coming.
And then in like 5 years, if any of them need replacing, is there gonna be like a list of pre-approved grinder pumps, so that there's not a wide variety of grinder pumps around the town? Because at the end of the day, what comes through the system at some point becomes our problem, right?
It's not, no,
Well, you'll be chair by then. You can-
That's a great answer. Thank you, Bob.
so that's what we're trying to get away from. If somebody wants to put a different grinder pump in,
Yeah,
you can do that, but that's on the homeowner.
but
Right.
my point is, let's say somebody puts in a sub-quality grinder pump, and it doesn't grind the way everybody else does the larger stuff, because maybe they're not following the rules, and they're not, they're putting a diaper down there, or God knows what.
That doesn't fall back on the department.
Well, it literally falls into the pipes, though.
Wouldn't it
If
have
it
to
gets
be
past the
inspected
grinder
again?
pump.
Yeah, it'll have to be.
The
So what I'm
diaper-
saying
the
is
diaper
we
would
have to-
clog it.
Yeah.
It would
It'll
have to
clog
be
it.
inspected
Yeah, it'll
again.
clog
Yeah,
if they're
that's
putting
true,
it
they're
on.
gonna
probably
be
have a lot
inspecting
of-
us.
Okay.
A lot of experience, but John's had a lot of
Yeah,
experience
John.
with these, but.
And I remember the policy had certain specs in it, so I don't know if they can get so good.
Okay.
You-
Well, you know what,
did a lot of
you
things.
understand what I'm asking, right?
Yeah, it is quite a bit, and
I mean, because
in
it's
order
a
for that,
just
fluid
order
system.
Amazon.
No,
if it doesn't grind as good, then it's not getting into our system.
okay, so
Do you
it's a
know-
stopgap either way.
Yeah.
Do you want to know
Alright.
something?
Sure.
In all the years I spent at Hours, it's not like this at all, as you're suggesting or bringing
No.
up question. It's cut and dry.
No
So
pun intended.
when those, no, I mean it,
Okay.
cut and dry. I mean, there's rules and regs you have to follow as a homeowner. You have to have that grinder pump.
Right.
And then you call a sewer company, you don't call the water department, or anybody else. The sewer company, they pump your tank and find out what's wrong with your pump. Replace it. I mean, there's none of that.
Okay.
It's
They
very
honestly, yeah,
difficult.
they actually pull the pump. If it's a motor, they have a motor on their truck, they'll come out, they'll swap the motor, drop it back in. you're
And
into
it's
the
done?
races.
And these guys they're all set up for it.
Okay.
Once a turd screws things up, that's it. You're on it. All you have to do is call.
Yeah. So, and again, once we get that draft back, it'll bring a lot of clarity to everything. Yeah. And again, and we can mark it up and put suggestions, whatever needs to be done, but.
So actually, Barnstable was the first town on the Cape to start the grinder pumps. And a couple other septic outfits were involved.
Yeah.
And it just is smooth as a turd flying down the
It saves so much money in the amount of
Make sure you
stuff,
get that in the
you know.
minutes.
Okay.
Lion
It
turd.
saves so much money in the depth that we have to go down. It will be nice when, we all tend to think of them like, oh my God, something extra. It will be good when we get to think of them as being, it's like I have a water heater, I have a grinder pump, I have a oven,
Yeah.
as
Yeah, it's an
everything else.
appliance.
Because it makes the engineering and the overall cost so much less, so,
I mean, it's a headache that goes away.
yeah.
It really does. I mean,
I wonder if when you're selling the house, you have to disclose you got a grinder pump.
I'm sure you do.
If that's what
Yeah, yeah.
they're worried about with the prices nowadays.
I know, that's
Something that, these days, you wanna make
Well,
sure.
I'm
you
thinking yeah, you do, and you have to almost say, we had a grinder pump that's X amount of years old, like a hot water heater, or a
Right.
boiler, or, and I
Or
think.
just when you're doing a home inspection.
Yeah.
it's usually on the list, the data on it, how old it is and all that.
So,
That's superintendent's report.
okay, but I have one
Yep.
question back. So you mentioned phase 3, but on phase 2, I have a question. I noticed on the Board of Health's agenda that they were drafting some final letters telling the last 150 people from phase 2, the deadline's gone by and you didn't connect. I don't know if I haven't watched their meetings, I don't know if they've had any discussions about what they intend to do. From our point of view, I mean, we'd love to see those last 150 people connected from phase 2. We've got about 350 or 370 out of 520. And now it's dragging on years now, What can we do to get those people?
The Board of Health, that is in the Board of Health to send out those letters.
Right.
I was gonna put that in the packet for next week, because I just received that letter.
Okay.
The final
Yep.
letter, so that would go into that
Yeah.
packet next week.
Has it got teeth in it?
It's
Let's
about,
put some
about
teeth
that,
in it.
but I know
got
that we've been
teeth
going
now.
back and forth, getting them a final list.
What, dear?
I know that we've been going back to get them a list, a
Okay.
final list.
Yeah.
I think I saw
I
Sandy.
mean, we got an
going back.
answer from the select board.
Sandy, did you
An
catch
answer from
that?
the Board of Health.
Yes. I said he's coming out
Select board.
here. We've been going back and forth with emails, and I've been on
I know,
emails.
just getting back.
So-
What's that?
Is that- I hope
So
that
sorry.
works well for
No.
your stuff?
Yeah.
So maybe you can fill them in on the list.
Yes, Carrie, the health director, reached out to us last
good.
week looking for the database of who's left to connect.
Yeah.
So I updated that and passed it on to them and said if they wanted any help with doing mailbird labels or whatever, that we could help out, and I haven't heard back. So
Okay.
they have the list now and it's in their hands to continue on.
Right.
Uh,
And that
with
letter you talking
connection.
about, is that the final?
Yes, I received that final letter, so.
Can I see it?
I'll make a copy of it for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I haven't seen the letter.
Oh, you haven't?
Oh,
I
no.
got it. I got it.
Okay, thank you. So-
It is,
There's my piece.
So just
Okay.
send it to me by email later.
Yep.
No, I don't need
Okay.
paper,
Yeah.
just curious, or to the whole board. Well, you know, I mean, it just would be so nice to finish that off.
Yes.
It's been a long time coming, so.
Yep. And maybe some of them have gotten some extensions, not really sure, but
Not many.
not many.
Yeah.
No, there's not. Maybe new houses and then they give them 10 years or something, or, I don't know, but there's not that many of them.
And, well, I'll mention, I did have a discussion with the chair of the Board of Health. I want to dig into a little bit, again, this was from seeing some stuff on their agenda. And I know they're giving some waivers to people regarding bedrooms, or they're discussing it from their old regs, if they have IA septic tanks, but I shouldn't even really say this yet. I'll bring back some more information, because I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, which is the zoning rules, and you don't get to increase your bedrooms. I mean, unless the town wants to vote and change that, you know, and that would be fine, but, you know, we would never want a loophole in there between the Board of Health regs and our regs, so I'll
Interesting.
further, more film at 11.
See, I
Just,
thought we were all on the same page.
that's what I mean, well, that's what
Yeah.
I just, you know, I look at their agendas because we're joined,
Yeah.
and I'll look a little further, I better make a note, because bedrooms will be a big issue, for sure. Okay, so we're down to Commissioner's report. Alan?
I'm all set.
All right. And, you know, I gotta say something about Alan. For those of you who might have missed the second night of town meeting, Alan spoke 3 times and he was like on fire. You know, honest to God, he was so good. And what was so nice about it is we had those few months with people talking about the quality of our water supply for different reasons and stuff like that. And Alan just stood up and said, oh, I know, it came up during, not actually during the Great Sand Lakes discussion, it came up during the discussion, Patrick Orton's, about plastic bottles. And so people were talking about those things, and Alan stood up and said, I don't care if you put it in a plastic cup or a bottle or a jar or a glass, if you're drinking Harwich tap water, you got a good. And it was nice for the mood after all
Yeah.
the, you know, a little bit of animosity back and forth. It was, you know, everybody was very receptive to his comments, so that's our Alan.
Can't even remember it.
I know, this happens at other meetings, I always, I'm enjoying it anyway.
You should take advantage of the moment.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss me when I'm not there.
Do
Yes,
you
we
have
will.
anything, Judith?
Just want to say thank you to all the voters for their support to have me here for another 3 years.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys all saw my little post. No,
Yeah, oh, I saw it,
did you? No.
yeah.
Where, in Old Times?
And my, well, did you guys see it? No? Oh, I'll have to send it to you right now.
Okay, I have a couple of things.
Good.
We had talked about a photo, since everybody's leaving us. I would like, in the next 2 weeks or something with, since the weather's good, to stand out front there with the staff and this board, and take a photograph to memorialize, you know, this is a new change.
Right.
We have a new superintendent, it's time, and I think it would be a good morale booster. So can we set
I'm trying
a
to
date
think,
and time?
yeah, I'm trying to, it is a good idea, and we pushed it a little bit. I wonder who we could get the names of, maybe you guys could look at local photographers for us, or, I don't know if Bill Galvin would have any contacts, but anybody really. And then, of course, would be the thing about staff time, we might have to come early. And we could just show up, we don't need a meeting, you know what I mean? We'll just show up and maybe we have one picture with just the staff, and then one picture with us and the staff.
And then, yes, and then maybe a picture of us too.
Yeah. But like I say, we wouldn't need to have a meeting, we could just have a time to show up, we don't talk to each other and we leave,
Okay,
you know.
if that's,
Well,
we could notice it, it's not a big deal.
yeah, not a big deal either way, because the coordinating the staff time will be
Right.
the harder part, that's why it probably won't even bother, so,
We can set that up.
yeah. Let me know what you come up with for times, and enjoy the June weather is a good point before it
Yes,
gets all
I think so,
disgusting
too.
and icky out there.
Okay, the second thing I'm gonna bring up is a year ago when I came on the board. I still would like us to look at that fountain in that little park, because the tourists keep trying to use it, and it's not usable. And I think it would be good for PR for this board to look at those little parks around town, including that one, and see what it would take to actually put something there that allows them to fill their water bottles and stuff. Because when all the bikes are parked, you know, they flood in and want water. And I don't mind giving it, we don't charge, but it would be good PR for the town.
I want to give Jason a little background. Bob's, this was before you came, Bob's talking about, you know, the street, like when you have town hall in front of you, but further down the corner of,
It's the exchange, the old exchange part, or
Right.
building they call it.
you don't know the other.
I can show it to you sometime, it's,
Yeah, at any rate, it's on that corner across from the seal. There's a little park there with a decorative fountain,
Okay.
okay?
well, it was dedicated to someone.
Right.
And it's been in disrepair and nobody
Correct.
maintains it or
Fountain?
uses
Right,
it. What's
so
that?
So water fountain there?
Yeah.
when this was
On the
brought
rock
up
or
a year
something?
You know
ago,
that path that goes into
Um,
the middle of it, it has hedges?
okay,
And if you go to the end there, there's an abandoned sort of water
Been in there
fountain.
for years,
Okay.
yeah.
so at any rate, I'll have to look in my folder, because I did have some information from a year ago. But at any rate, our role, and our role doesn't always have to stay the same, but our role in water fountains in the town, I was informed, and Tracy has a list that she has right out there, that, what is it we do, Tracy? Do we turn them on and off? What is it? You showed me a list
Well,
quite a while ago.
we actually do have a service to that fountain. I believe it's still active. I don't know whose fountain it is, like a lot of the town accounts, we do seasonal service for, and then the highway department maintains all of the, like spigots and things throughout all the gardens and everything like that. So we turn on and off the service part of it, but then the town itself handles like anything beyond the service, just like how it is in the homes. Like we, you know, handle up to the meter, but then like their private plumbing is up to the homeowner to maintain and repair. So anything beyond our service, including the fountain, would be up to the town to, you know, maintain. But we have a service in there. It's just, I don't know
Right,
the
okay,
historical part about that specific fountain.
right.
Nothing historic.
Yeah, like, or, you know, that wouldn't be up to us to,
There's also new regulations. You can't just activate
That's
that
right.
fountain. It would have to probably be, you know, what's over at Brooks Park. where you can-
Backflow preventer.
What's that?
They have to put a backflow preventer in.
Yeah. But you can't have the bubbles,
You need a certain air gap.
yeah.
Yeah.
If the board wouldn't mind looking into it, I think it would be good PR because it's right by the bike path. And
Well, I'll look
that's
it
where
up. I'll look
everybody-
up for it.
That's where everybody
I
comes
mean,
in at.
and it's fine, I just don't want it to bog down again, and there's a DPW role in here, so, and I'm willing, you know, I mean, we're all willing to suggest maybe our role doesn't have to stay exactly the same, you know, maybe it can be enhanced. I just don't want it to end by saying, oh, the DPW does that, and then we do
Right.
nothing, you know?
Yeah, so what I plan on doing is I know we have a service there. So I'll follow up with Link on that and coordinate that with him to reactivate it and have a discussion with him about it and the maintaining of it.
I would appreciate that. I
It
think
also
it'd be good
includes
for
the
town.
Board of Health, though, because it's the Board of Health that determines the type of, the backflow part and the other type of thing. So there's three groups involved, that's what always gets,
The backflow department would be determined by this department.
okay.
So that would be determined by this department. And we just go to say, okay, here's the sketch, this is what we want to put in. This is the backflow, talk with Link, get everybody on the same page, have a meeting with the Board of Health, with the DPW.
Okay.
With everyone, and we'll just.
As long as I heard the words Board of
And,
Health.
and, you know, the Board of Health should have a final list of where they are located.
It has to be
James
tested
Park.
for lead too, to make sure
Right.
there's no lead.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to point out that during the pandemic, we got that grant from the state, you know, for the Shared Streets program. And it was meant to, we were trying to get sidewalk repair, and that fountain came up because of the bike path. We're trying to follow that Harwich Center initiative that Mr. Doan did. And so that was all part of that. And as this new select board comes in, I want them to still focus on Harwich Center. You know, we're trying to bring it back. And this would be a little contribution.
And I'm looking from the point of view where Link will be leaving in a year. And, you know, it is a time, I mean, we should have more water opportunities in town with the way, you know, the mentality is going. We absolutely should. So
Good.
I'm not saying we take on another assignment, but certainly we can investigate it and talk about it.
Okay. And then the last thing is, I like that patch. Do we get any of
Well, I was gonna bring that up at the next meeting, the staff here, we were all talking, it'd be great to, maybe at the end of, maybe around Christmas time, to get everybody a sweatshirt here, all the guys' sweatshirts here, and maybe getting everybody on the board here something that has that, whether it's water, wastewater commissioner, or, you know.
From the electric company,
I
the
think so,
municipal
yeah,
electric
yeah.
company that I worked in.
like the presidential seal?
I have an entire wardrobe. I have sweatshirts, caps, but we got something every year, water bottles, and it was nice, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
clothing.
We
So,
could
yeah,
even
that
send
would be-
t-shirts
that
to
would be
the
a vote on
public
the-
for Harwich, best water on Cape Cod, best water in Massachusetts, right?
If it wasn't for
We
Rhode
could
Island.
probably sell
Alan's
like
tap water.
crazy.
Actually, I thought about it, we could bottle the
The tap.
water, and we'll put Alan's picture on it.
Yes.
Alan's
It
tap
can't be
water.
plastic.
You know.
Yeah.
No plastic, only
Best
glass.
drink on- Best
Glass
drink on
or
Cape
tints, yeah.
Cod.
Hey, A1.
That's not a bad, actually, Dan and I talked about that some years ago,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know,
It's not a bad
it's not a
idea.
terrible idea, really,
No.
you know,
I'm
well.
gonna tell you, I've never had a bad glass of water.
There you go. There's the line right there.
Maybe we could work on the fountain first before we start manufacturing. water.
Hey,
So that would
bring
be- That would
jobs.
be down, but, yeah, that would be great to get all the guys a nice fleece to wear out,
Yeah.
something, and so.
So when we have to stand up at the select board, we look official.
There you go, that's right.
So you have a few
Is
drips
that
running
it for you,
off.
young
That's
man?
it.
Okay,
All set.
you're all set? Okay, so I only have one little one, which is that at our next meeting, since it'll be probably our last meeting, either right before June 30th or right after, we'll bring in the financials just for us to take a look at how we stood for the up to June 30th point. And also, Jason and I had talked, want to bring in front of the board a discussion about our capital plan. With these other jobs, you know, dragging, I think we need to talk about considering moving one or two of them out a little bit. In other words, it's going to fall where there's just so much to do in 1 year, but we'll bring all, I'm just giving you a heads up, we'll bring that material in and discuss it. And the capital outlay system will be a little tighter this year. So normally these requests and reports get turned in either in August or September. So what I'm leading to with this is, you know, we'll discuss all of the things, but what still bothers me is the, quote, space building. And I know a couple of board members a year ago had said they would look into it, and then we all got busy, but as a board, we have to decide, are we really doing anything? Are we just putting a number on a piece of paper and moving it around? I mean, we have to take some action.
Now, this is the storage building that we talked about?
I don't know if it's
Is that what
storage.
you were talking about for
Equipment,
space?
they were gonna put equipment in it.
Yeah,
because-
so the trucks could drive in and,
I've heard a number of different things. I've heard offices, I've heard storage, I've heard equipment, and that would, I guess, be a discussion and really get a number on it, so everybody knows what it would cost.
Right now, without having the capital plan in front of me, we've got it down, I think it's something silly, like 1.5 million, and it's for like 3 years out. Number one, it will cost us 1.5 million, you know, just to say hello to a,
I
you
think
know.
that was for a metal building though, one of those ones that just pop
Yeah,
up.
that's,
That wasn't for office space, that was strictly for
even
vehicles
1.5
and,
million for
But
a
other people
metal
say
building?
that's way too low for even
Tiny.
that, you
I'm
know.
They
sure.
wanted
it
to
is.
put equipment in because of the oil,
Yeah,
the state wanted, right? Didn't
yeah.
they?
yeah, and
That
the
was a
state one.
recommendation,
Well,
it wasn't a.
I'd kind of like a couple of board members to own this and maybe work with Jason, because otherwise he's going to be in front of capital outlay on September 1st. Now, 2 years in a row, they've questioned the department saying, is that enough money? And 2 years in a row, they've said, we've asked you about this and you haven't done anything about it.
I'll help with this.
So it's time we, you know, we need to do something.
I wouldn't mind doing it too, just to
Yeah,
And there's a couple things that you
put some
can
ideas
do.
around.
You can build, or you can buy existing.
and I think part of the problem was though, where to situate it to, because this property is theoretically underwater at some point. It's a flood zone.
That's why I wanted to know about land and the asset management. Could we build something?
We did it, just so you'll know, we did have a discussion about the property, the famous pet cemetery across from there, but then the town asked, obviously it's sold, we gave up our rights to that. You know, we said, no, we're not interested, and at the time, the temperament of the board was more like maybe it should all be here consolidated, but we've gone back and forth with that several times, so it's still certainly open to discussion.
And DPW had a lot of unused land in the back of where their buildings are. If I'm remembering correctly, that was a potential conversation. I know
Could be. There's a lot of land there.
Dan
that's for
and
sure,
Link had kind of
you know.
talked a little bit about
And then, of
that.
course, you have the complications of the trucks up there, the guys down here, and, you know, so there's operational things that have to be, I mean, ideally, isn't this the first choice, ideally?
Yes.
I mean,
And
you
that
as a
would be-
manager.
And that would be, do we move all operations? Do we just have enough room to put storage back here for the trucks? I guess it's a deeper conversation of everything,
What do you mean, do we move all operations? You mean this?
office.
Well, we kind of had a discussion about that before you came, when there's a thing called the pet cemetery that's
Yep.
up on Queen Anne. And at that time, we kind of said, no, we
Okay.
wouldn't move, but again, that wasn't written in stone, that was just a conversation of the board, you know, so. it
And
would
Let's
go-
come up with some options.
Yeah,
And I don't
and
think
that's-
we said no, I think that was the select board that said no.
Well, we said no to the pet cemetery property. A memo went out to Dan and to all the department heads, as it always does with surplus land or equipment, and said, does your department have a need or an interest in this? And his answer was no.
Except that, okay.
Yeah.
And again, I heard, do we put something here for storage of the equipment?
Right.
Do we do it off-site? Do we build something off-site? I am still grasping all of that.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to know what the needs are.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, if we found, for us to build a large building, like a metal building, something, let's say DPW, like the DPW building.
Yeah.
Put all the trucks in there, have office space out in front, office room, meeting room, different things like that, you're talking $10 million.
20,
right.
Yeah.
And that's with prevailing wage, that's with engineering, that's with all this. And what I saw from a different town was they bought an existing building for $2 million.
And moved it?
And
or-
moved there and built out and did a retrofit to them, and it was
Oh.
beautiful.
That's a possibility, but,
So I'm just trying to save money and look
Yeah.
sort of outside the box.
yeah.
But then, of course, there's the question, I'll save you 2 million on that, of let's not move at all, you know what I mean? I mean,
Right.
moving is a tremendous,
But the-
effort, and to get into a project to either buy or build,
Mhm.
or retrofit a new building is,
Yep.
we have to cross that, and I'm conservative, so.
Yeah, yes, and you're talking a space building out back here on our property out back here is 3 million, 3.5, right around there. I was talking with an engineer.
Well, we certainly have to, by the middle of August, we've got to change that $1.5 million
Yes.
figure. And
Yes.
maybe move it out another year,
Yes.
but as it stands, it's not making us look good, so.
Yes.
So I'm glad to hear all this, so maybe, were you interested or no? I'm just asking, I'm sorry, I
think
thought you
Bob-
said
Bob
something.
spoke.
Judith and I would.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So since there's only 2 of you, you don't need, you're not in quorum trouble. So I would leave that, and when you have anything to discuss, just let Jason or me know, and we'll put it on the agenda for discussion at that point. That would be great. And of course, to talk with Jason about all the needs and the other technical stuff.
Does it help to label it a committee for the select board?
The only problem is if we label it a committee, then we need minutes, we need posting, we need everything. So
Okay.
why don't the 2 of you just talk it over?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not gonna be a long range, a thing. It's just to get us to the point where our idea is better. So
Okay.
years from now, if we were gonna design something, then we'd hire professionals, but to get our idea more down the road.
Okay.
After you're off the board and those numbers don't come under you. That's what she's thinking. I caught that.
I'll be sitting right there, Alan and I.
Really?
Oh, no.
I'm not gonna be responsible for that budget. Oh, yeah.
When I hang up my shooting irons, it's
You're not gonna
all
come to the meeting?
over.
Kidding.
Look at me, that's what I said, and I
I
can't.
don't go back.
All right, so correspondence, I do like to read these, so you have to
That
put
was
up with me.
nice.
So this was a letter from one of our residents, and she wrote to Jason and CC'd Steve Hicks in the department, and she said, "Hi, I had a pipe let go in my driveway on Sunday in April, and the water came downhill toward my house very quickly. It could have been a big problem, but Matt responded to my call to your emergency number quickly. I'm sure he saved me from having to deal with water in my basement and garage. Matt shut off the water and explained the emergency repair rate for him, and I'm very grateful. And we decided to do the repair the following day. Monday morning, Steve was at my door to tell me the plan, time frame, etc., also appreciated. Matt and his crew came and worked in the cold, raw rain, and they could not have been, and emphasis, have been more pleasant. Everything was explained and the job was done quickly. So shout out to the crew who work for the Harwich Water Department. They are a great asset." So,
Amen.
amen.
Yeah.
So that's it. So I guess we're looking at
That
our
was what
next
I
meeting
put.
date.
Did everybody get this letter from Barnstable Clean Water?
Yeah, I haven't opened it yet, though.
Oh, okay.
Which one? Is that the big thing? Yeah.
What is he, I haven't read it yet either.
Nice big envelope. So,
yeah. Yeah, I think they should come and,
Did you write that?
I did.
what do you think for
You
next
like that?
meeting dates?
That's,
Very nice.
That's
I'm
great.
kind of been
I love the
enjoying,
hands with the water.
Yeah.
Good.
I had no respect.
24th?
Yeah, I've been kind of going towards like every 3 weeks rather than 2 weeks, you know. How about the 24th for people? Jason's off the following week. So, if we let him.
yeah,
That looked good, and obviously we
9
will.
o'clock,
Yep, okay, that
Does that-
sounds good.
work?
Yep, and that way,
Does that work?
anything we
Yeah.
have to vote or sign before year end, we'll do. I don't think we have anything anyway, but, all right, so that will be Tuesday, June 24th at 9. And with that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna
So,
try to adjourn. Make a motion to adjourn.
7.
Okay, so it's the 24th, you're saying?
Yep. That little third week helps a little bit.
Yes.
It really does, I think.
Can you
And if
just
there's ever a time when we
pass
need
that
anything,
down
we'll
to
come in.
John
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jason?
And she thanked us for being wonderful at
Yeah.
it too. So I think we have a big folder to sign, folks,
Oh, okay, good.
but we are adjourned.